Hey, and welcome back. Today we're going to be checking out a whole bunch of FX cymbals from my friends at Chemistry Cymbals. For those of you that aren't familiar with Chemistry as a brand, I don't blame you. They're fairly new to the marketplace, and I had a chance to check out their more traditional cymbals earlier this year, which they call their Element series, and that included everything you'd expect from hi-hats, crashes, rides, and even splash cymbals. Now, when I was meeting with the folks from Chemistry and picking out some cymbals to take home and borrow and try out, I resisted on taking any FX cymbals just because I was pretty overwhelmed with the cymbals I already had and wanted to really focus on their traditional cymbals. Now that some time has passed and I've returned those, I picked up a bunch of their FX cymbals just to try out and experiment with, because if I'm being totally honest, I don't utilize a ton of FX cymbals in my day-to-day setups as a working musician. But maybe there's something I'm missing, and after getting a chance to play these, I certainly think there is. We've got 3 lines we'll be checking out today, which includes their Acid series, their Compound series, and the Hot Plate series. I love the entire branding of this company with chemistry and a lot of the cymbals having this periodic table of element feel. You have the Element series, which we checked out earlier, and you can go back and check out that video on my channel if you'd like. But the first thing I want to get into here is the Acid series, and that includes these crash-like cymbals with holes in them for a very trashy, quick sound. Now, these come in 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20-inch sizes, and they all feature this kind of unlathed patina-like look to them, which I think adds to the trashiness and quick decay. But these are B20 cymbals, which is a very high-grade alloy used for most professional cymbals you've checked out from every other brand you know and love. With me today, I have 3 different sizes, 16, 18, and 20, and let's go ahead and take a listen to them individually and then come back and talk about the quality of the sound. So as you can hear, these have a ton of bite and attack to them, and they really do get out of the way very quickly. Very short sustain, especially here on the 20. Usually when I play a larger cymbal, I'm expecting it to have more sustain to it, but this one is very dry and gets out of the way really quickly. I like these a lot. I think it's a nice contrast or alternative option to having like a China cymbal on your kit. If that's maybe like just too extreme and too loud, these are a little bit more subdued and could be more useful in a number of different settings. Although hearing them individually is great, let's go ahead and mix them in with a bit more playing throughout the kit. I think these are a ton of fun to mix into your playing. I really like the attack of them. I think the 20 is probably my favorite because, as you just heard, you can actually ride on it and get a cool like drum and bass electronic sound to that. So I think this could be extremely versatile. So moving on, I want to get into their Compound series. These are sets of cymbals, much like a compound element, where you have 2 things brought together to create one new sound. This includes their stack sets, which either comes with an 8-inch mini China and a 9-inch splash, or an 11-inch mini China and a 12-inch splash. What I like about this is, in addition to playing them together as a stack, you can actually use them separately, and they're still individual cymbals that sound great, again, made out of a B20 alloy. So the big thing I notice with stacks is that the tension you have the cymbals at makes a huge difference in the sound production of it. So right now I have them pretty tight and cranked, and so it's a very dry sound and even a bit clangy. But let's go ahead and loosen up the wing nuts just a bit and get these things to sustain a bit longer. So as you can hear, there's a lot more sizzle and sustain to the notes. I really like it a little bit looser, but I think if I was playing like harder styles like metal, something like this tight could be really nice as like a snare substitute or a quick accent or something like that. Now, like I was saying, even though these are sold together as a set, there's no reason you couldn't use them individually. So let me go ahead and just show you what these cymbals sound like on their own. So I'd say I'm a bigger fan of these in the Splash solo configuration than the Mini China setup, but I do think they sound good, and I think that's more just my bias playing softer styles and China's being very, very aggressive cymbals. Now, one other thing that's worth mentioning with a design stack like this is they're designed to work together. Sometimes you get two cymbals and they don't stack well because the bells don't cup the right way where the cymbals can get a nice even seal. But these work really well together, and I think as a stack, they're pretty fun. I like this small one a lot because I think you could fit it into a lot of tight spaces around the kit. But even the larger of the two has a nice, lower, beefier sound to it that I enjoy very much. Continuing on in the Compound series, they also offer a clap set because who isn't making clap cymbals right now? It seems to be all the rage and what everybody wants. One thing I really like about Chemistry's clap set, though, is in addition to having this kind of like rough, raw patina finish, it has kind of a flatter profile than most clap cymbals I've seen. It's very common for the clap cymbals to have this like taco concave shape. And although that might sound really great, one, it's hard to position around the kit because of the depth, but two, it's really hard to travel with for a gigging drummer because it won't just fit in your cymbal bag. This set they have right here is nice because I could throw it in the hi-hat pouch with other cymbals and it's not going to cause me any problems. Now, this set here includes a 9-inch cymbal, an 11-inch cymbal, and a 13-inch cymbal. Together, they're used as a clap, but they also sound interesting and unique individually on their own. Again, part of this Compound series. I really love this in the tight setting. It has this low fundamental tone that reminds me so much of like the 808 or 909 famous hand clapping samples. This screams like 80s digital drums to me, but in an acoustic form, because I really don't like integrating, electronic drum pads or triggers into my setup for most of my gigs where I have limited sound reinforcement with me. I play a variety of styles, and I could see myself using this on gigs very regularly. And of all the different clap sets I've gotten to try, this is certainly one of my favorites, and I think it also is helped by the fact of how thin these cymbals are. Let me just quickly play through them individually so you can hear that as well. I did not expect to like these as much as I do in their individual setup, but it's like a splash with just a little more attitude, and I could see myself using any of these as just a splash cymbal on certain types of musical settings, or especially in the studio where you're looking for unique, interesting textures to add to a song. So the last cymbals we're going to talk about today are the hot plates. Now, when I went down to the shop and tried out a bunch of their different cymbals, the hot plates are ones that I really thought could be useful to me as just a super thin crash. They're very thin cymbals, again, B20, and they're meant to be this sort of mix and match setup where they offer it in 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18-inch sizes, and you can use them individually as like a thin splash or crash, or else stack them together, much like the clap stack or the other stack sets that they offer. Now, today I have 4 different sizes with me. I have the 10, 12, 14, and 16. I didn't grab an 18, but I think this should be a good representation of the range of this line. I really like the 14 and 16. They have enough definition to be like a crash or even like a super thin light ride cymbal sound to me where I could play on it continuously. The 10 and 12 are kind of like really aggressive splashes again, where they have a lot of bite and attack, and I don't hear like the individual stick clarity as much, but I think that's by design. After getting to play it laced into a groove, I really like the 10. It has this immediate presence, but gets out of the way quick so you can hear the detail and everything else you're doing. Again, the 14 and 16 to me are nice, super thin crashes, but let's go ahead and mix them together and maybe make a couple different combinations so you can hear what it's like to stack these. Those are certainly a ton of fun to play around with, and I would be totally encouraged to pick up a few different sizes and just mix and match and find something that works for a specific song, specific band, or just your own voice. So I think these could be a lot of fun for people out there to check out and get into on their own. Now, before calling it a day, I do want to set up a whole bunch of them and just kind of build my own setup and play a little bit and let you hear that. So there you have it, Chemistry Cymbals, tons of different effects options out there. I highly suggest you check them out. They have a website, chemistrycymbals.com, that will take you to their Reverb page where you can buy these cymbals, or just search Chemistry Cymbals on Reverb. One thing I didn't mention, and it is intentional, is the price of these. If I'm being honest, we're in a very fluid time here in the United States where pricing and working with international vendors is very tricky. So the price of these may be changing over time, and I just didn't want to put anything definitive out there for you guys. But what I will tell you is they are some of the most competitively priced cymbals out there. And again, they're B20. So these are high quality instruments, as you can hear for yourself. I'd love to hear what you guys think about these, so leave a comment down below letting me know which one was your favorite. And until next time, thanks.